25, 40, run, William, run! He's got blockers in front, 5, touchdown! Joshua Cribbs! Snap back, ball down, kick block! They block the kick!
This is the Oranges, Orange and Browns podcast from the Press Play Podcast Network. I am the host of your 7-3 Cleveland Browns, Chase Smith, and with me, as always, Browns insider, Jeremy Powell. Jeremy, you said it rained every second of that game.
It rained every second of that game. It rained from the second I walked to the stadium from my car, and it rained as I walked to my car after the win. But guess what? I'm still thawing out, but it was worth it. It was great. It was fantastic.
And also with us, she's your favorite and our favorite Emmy-nominated digital content producer at News Channel 5, Cameron Justice. Cameron, another Victory Monday. Let's go.
7-3. This is wild. It's getting wild. It's getting crazy at this point. I don't know what to do with myself. I find myself, my hands are shaking. They're up. I don't know what to do with them. I'm like, what's going on? This is insane. I love it.
Hands are shaking from all the wine you drink on Mondays.
Hey, stop it. But I am excited for that bottle tomorrow.
Yes. Let's get things started with 5 hot minutes with Jeremy Powell. Jeremy, go.
Yeah, so 3 weeks in a row, right? 3 home games in a row. It's been incredibly horrible weather conditions. As everybody knows, I've been to almost every home game the last 10 years, a majority of them the last 20. And I have never seen weather like this. It's been pretty incredible, but I guess that's 2020, right? We have to deal with it and move on, as Coach Stefanski was said. And, I was actually proud of that team today. They were down Myles Garrett. We thought the defense was going to struggle immensely, and it didn't happen. The defense played fantastic. Olivier Vernon, the much maligned Olivier Vernon, who's pretty much been a disappointment since that big trade a couple years ago, had the game of his career today. 3 sacks, a safety when the Browns needed it most. What's the sign of a good team? To step up when your leader is down. Myles Garrett was tweeting during the game. I don't know if you guys saw it. He said he didn't know whether to smile or cry. He was so proud of his defense. And I thought that was amazing. All game long, they were unrelenting. Carson Wentz never got comfortable in the pocket because the Browns were constantly collapsing it. Adrian Claiborne, Sheldon Richardson, Olivier Vernon just making plays. And once again, the running game. It's almost incredible how all these games are taking on the same pattern. The Browns have trouble running it in the first half, but they keep at it. They don't stop. Again, another sign of a great coach. Kevin Stefanski sticks with it. Keep going, and boom. Almost uncanny Nick Chubb's ability to break a big run. It's every single game. We talked about it last week. He's missed 4 games, and he still leads the league and runs over 20 yards. It's almost unbelievable. It's not common. It's uncommon to break this many long runs, but Nick Chubb is an uncommon player. The stiff arm on that play was absolutely incredible. The 2 cuts he made in the hole, he keeps fighting for every last yard, the end of the game. And then, as unselfish as he is, here comes Kareem Hunt in to finish it off with a dive from the 5-yard line, essentially for a touchdown. Once again, people might say that was an ugly win. That was not an ugly win. That was a beautiful win in the conditions, 3 weeks in a row. Pounding it out, winning how you win on Lake Erie in the weather. It was just a beautiful thing. It literally rained every second of the game. There was not 1 second where rain was not falling during that game. And let me give one more thing. Let me say one more thing, Chase, before you move on. Baker Mayfield. Look, game manager, whatever he is, he hit some big throws. There was a couple plays in the rain where he put balls right on the money when they had to be on third downs to keep the play before Nick Chubb broke the 50-yarder was a beautiful pass to move the chains on a long third down. So all facets of the game, I was proud of the team, thought they played well. I bet you money the team cannot wait to play in Jacksonville and then Tennessee back-to-back to get out of this weather. But they went 2-1 in the weather games. It was a beautiful thing to see, Chase.
Cameron, we never got around to recording a preview episode, but I can imagine if you talked about your keys of the game, it would be get Chubb going and have Baker take care of the ball. How did they do against the Eagles? I mean, you had to be happy with what you saw.
Absolutely. And, you were right. Those would have been some of the keys to the game. But I think, it was a really rough start for the offense, like a really rough start. But like Kevin Stefanski said after the game, he was just trying to figure out the Eagles defense, trying to figure out their schemes, trying to figure out how to, handle their defense. And I think that he figured it out, like he said, unlocked it at the end. And so Nick Chubb lights out all the time. You saw him explode at the end. And Baker Mayfield, aside from a couple little faux pas throughout the game,
This is Hooper,
good.
yeah.
And that's the thing. He didn't have wind on his side or against him this time. He was actually on his side, but the weather conditions still not good. So despite all of this, despite the wetness on the field and all the craziness, they still pulled it off. The offense found their spark in the fourth quarter, and that's what you want. That's what you're looking for. And kudos to the defense for really showing that they can do this without Myles Garrett. I know it's hard to believe that they were able to play so well, but they really stepped up when they were called upon, and that's just a testament to that next man up mentality that they've been preaching all season long.
We've talked about games like this, I feel like all season, games where previous Browns teams would fall apart or lose or just not win. But yet this Browns team, think back to the Colts game where you had the kickoff return, touchdown, the Colts drive, they found a way to win. The Red game, the Washington football team game before that, the Browns found a game to win. The last week, the Texans, the Browns held on and found a way. These are marks of a good, stable, consistent football team. I'm not going to lie. I didn't expect the Browns to win this many of those type of games this year. I expected them to have a little more long-term growing pains than maybe a series here or a drive there. I'm blown away, Jeremy. I can't believe we win these games. I can't believe we're 7-3. I just what is going on?
I think the team has taken on the identity of their coach, and that's a smart, resilient football team, smart, resilient coach. And Kevin Stefanski talked about it after the game, like Cameron said. Some of the sets weren't working. They realized they weren't going to work. They moved on to a different set, he said they had to unlock which formations and which sets were going to work against this defense. They figured it out and they ran with it. Nick Chubb talked about it after the game as well. His favorite thing about Coach Stefanski said is he'll just keep plugging away. Even if it's not working, he's not going to immediately abandon the run because they have 16 yards rushing at halftime, right? And what do they end up with? 130 some yards rushing. Because Stefanski's a smart coach. He understands that your money is made with those two horses in the backfield. And they keep running them. And sure enough, there we go again. Breaks another long one. Touchdown around the end. You start wearing teams down, and that's how you finish games. And it's just a beautiful thing to see.
Cameron, it does seem like the Browns staff, this is what cohesion looks like. This is what everyone being synchronized looks like. Understanding the player's strengths, understanding how to put their players in the best position to succeed. It's weird to see. I'm not going to lie. I just can't believe I'm watching my favorite football team. It's been 20 years of dysfunction and absolute horse crap.
Yeah, no, I sent out a tweet today after the game. I got some stats in. Kevin Stefanski's got the best start to a season by a first-year Browns head coach since Bud Carson in 1989 when he went 7-3. So, I mean, if they win next week, he beats that. And also, it's the first time a first-year Browns head coach has begun 5-1 at home since 1946 with the Paul Brown.
Amazing.
So, I mean, that just shows you right there. Kevin Stefanski is what the Browns needed. Mm-hmm. It's what they've been searching for all of these years, a competent head coach with leadership. He's gotten all of the players on board with him. He's set up a staff that trusts and respects him and that he trusts and respects. And I mean, that we didn't see that last season, definitely, but we haven't seen that for a very, very long time in Cleveland. And I'm relatively young. I haven't seen it in my lifetime, really. So it's really weird to be in this situation. And, I see a lot of fans even still this 7-3 doesn't feel like 7-3 because it's what are the Browns going to do to mess this up? But at some point we have to start thinking of this team as a really competent football team, and they've done really well so far. And you have to give them credit, and this is a testament to them getting something right here. And it's hard to do. It's hard to, put all your eggs in one basket and say maybe the Browns are good because they definitely know how to let you down. But I really don't think that's going to be the case. I mean, the goal this season is the playoffs. You hope they get there. If they don't get there, but they look good for the rest of the season, are you happy still? I think you're still happy. But right now, you cannot be mad at where the Browns are at, and you have to be hopeful for their future because it looks really good right now.
You know, if they don't make the playoffs, I'm going to be even more flabbergasted than I am. Jeremy, did you get like sentimental at any point in the game today? Like, have you ever just like gotten emotional watching this team yet this year?
I haven't yet, but I probably will if they make the playoffs. Today was fun. Today I took our head high school football coach at Copley. He's actually from Philadelphia, and he hadn't been to a Eagles game since he moved out here 12 years ago. So that was fun because we were talking back and forth. And so it was more fun for me to win today. But there will definitely be a point. I mean, you know me, I'm a sentimental guy anyway. There will definitely be a point when the Browns clinch a playoff spot that it'll feel really special. And I'll probably, I might shed a tear for all these years of, stuff we sat through to see them finally get to their goals. But I think you're right. I don't see how they don't win 9 games. And barring some other major injury or,
gotta get to
it's
10.
just they're there now. Yeah, we will get to. I don't see how we don't get to at least 9, but you're right. We're going to need 10 at least to get in. But yeah, there will definitely be a moment to answer your question where I will feel it for sure.
We'll talk about that in our blueprint for the playoff segment here after the jump. But let's take a quick break. We'll come back with Brown silver linings and we'll talk about the game.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. We read one book a month and then we talk about it. Books like Stephen King's The Shining or Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. If you're on the hunt for book recommendations and enjoy sparkling conversation, come read along with us and then listen in.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
And I'm Dennis Maniloff, co-host along with the roadman Kenny Rhoda of the Next Man Up podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. Roadman and I do a deep dive into Browns, Indians, Cavs, Ohio State, and anything else that's on the sports fan's mind.
Hey, it's JD from the Hyman Podcast. Using a narrative storytelling approach, the Hyman Podcast was created to start conversations that need to be human. Week by week, I'll break down walls and barriers and make people wildly uncomfortable, all the while giving a voice to the voiceless and the marginalized. Consider this your personal invitation to be part of that conversation.
All right, let's do some a Browns game recap. The Browns silver linings. Here we go. Browns 22, Eagles 17. The Browns' first victory against the Eagles since 1994. Cameron, you were just a wee gal in 1994. Were you born yet?
I was 1.
You were 1.
I was just a wee little baby.
All right, Baker 12 for 22, 204 yards, no touchdown, no picks. 86.2 rating. Chubb, 20 attempts, 114 yards, and the fear of him easing into the games those are long gone. Hunt, 13 attempts, 11 yards, 1 touchdown. Kadarrell Hodge, 3 receptions, 73 yards. Rashard Higgins, 365, spreading the ball around. Olivier Vernon, defensive mention, 3 sacks, 1 safety, stepping up huge. Denzel Ward with the pick. The Browns defense, 3 picks, 2 forced fumbles. I felt like a sack on every drive. This felt like kind of a complete game, Cameron. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think it wasn't that way at first. For most of the game, it wasn't a complete game. It was mostly the defense really showing up. But then it became a complete game in that fourth quarter when the offense stepped up. But yeah, I mean, you saw all 3 facets of the game. You saw the defense really step up. You saw the offense click finally in the fourth quarter and look really good doing it. And special teams was good. So that's it. That's what there was nothing left for the Browns to do. They looked good at multiple parts of the game and all 3 phases of the game.
Cameron, what's the silver linings you got? Like, give me a takeaway from the game.
Oh, silver lining, I think, is that even with Myles Garrett gone, we still have a playmaking ability, especially from Denzel Ward. I know that, the defense we've talked about, the defense kind of falls on Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, but when you lose Myles Garrett, can Denzel Ward make that kind of impact? And although other players did step up, Denzel Ward really made that impact today. He had a phenomenal game. He's looked great all season, but like in these moments, that's when you really need him to continue to look good. And he really killed it. So my silver linings is that we still have playmakers when other guys go out.
He had that pressure on Wentz to
Yep.
do that botched
On the
throw in
interception
flat with
by
Taki
Taki.
at the pick six. Jeremy, what's a silver lining you watched in today's game?
Well, I was going to say, other players stepping up to make plays when your biggest star is out. Look, if there's one player you can't have out for the Browns right now, it's Myles Garrett. I mean, he is, he's the MVP of the team. He's the MVP of the defense. But the fact that they were able to step up with him out, guys making plays, Taki, I think, Taki's a bit undersized, but I love his energy. And to see him make that play was just a beautiful thing. Seeing Taki running down the sideline, Taki for the touchdown. I really loved it. But my biggest silver lining, my biggest takeaway is the fact that this team 2 weeks in a row now, the defense played exceptional, but today to play really, really well without your star, to put that kind of pressure on Wentz was just a beautiful thing. And going forward, I think that's going to, serve well for the Browns, that they know that even without Myles, they can make plays on the quarterback.
Yeah. And the next man up mentality even kind of went to the receivers. They haven't had a choice, but they showed up. They caught the ball in the rain.
I love Kadar Hodge.
Did a really good job. And, Baker's always had chemistry with Rashard Higgins. He's Mr. Consistent. He's Mr. Clutch. He's always going to be there for Bake. But Hodge's development, we saw kind of like previews and like snippets last year, but he's really developing a knack for getting the ball downfield, Cameron. That's something that, if that can continue, is really, really needed for this offense.
Oh, Kadar Hodge has been super dedicated to being that guy, to being the guy that can step up and fill in when he's needed. And he's really produced. I remember last season when we were looking for Rashard Higgins and Kadar Hodge was out there, there was a lot of frustration, myself included. Why is Rashard Higgins not out there? Why is Kadar Hodge out there? What's going on? And and he tweeted me and called me out because he had a big game, and that was so fair. And I said, what? I'll eat crow. That's fair. You did good. And, since then, he's really shown up. So I'm not even mad at it. I had my doubts. I will not lie, but he's stepped up big time. And you love to see that kind of development, because those are the kinds of players that you need Baker to have. He has that in Rashard Higgins, but to have that in a Kadar Hodge too, you can't ask for more.
I got a silver lining, Baker Mayfield. And as we're recording, the Chiefs just came back and beat the Raiders off the quarterback play of Patrick Mahomes. He had the ball with a minute 23 left, and they went down and scored. But the quarterback play today saw a pretty storied quarterback rivalry, even though it's not really a rivalry. But in Browns Twitter, it's a rivalry. In Browns lore, it carried a lot of weight. Carson Wentz or Baker Mayfield. And this goes back to the Deshaun Watson draft. And all that stuff. I'm going to say this. I think Carson Wentz was the second worst quarterback the Browns have played all season, behind Darrell Haskins. I just thought he played awful. His own line didn't help at all, but he couldn't see the field. He was making terrible throws. It was bad. And Baker, with this win, moves into 9th all time in the Browns quarterback wins list with 19. Ahead of him, Tim Couch has 22 wins. Mike Phipps at 24, which we'll see if he can catch either of those guys anymore this year. But Baker is doing what he needs to do when the team needs him to do it. Do we need him to bring us back with his arm? Hey, he can do that. He did that against the Bengals. Do we need him to manage the game and make smart plays and just kind of let Chubb and Hunt eat? Hey, he did that against the Texans. Do we need him to make big third down throws? Do we need him to throw the ball downfield in the rain? Hey, he did that today against the Eagles. Baker Mayfield is doing what he needs to do. And he's our quarterback. I mean, that's like, there's no doubt about it. He came into this season with a lot of pressure, with a lot of weight on his shoulders, knowing this is a make or break year. And I think he's going to be able to ask for whatever he wants when he has to negotiate his contract. Maybe this offseason, I don't know. But I really don't think the Browns have much to argue against, even though he's not putting up Patrick Mahomes numbers. And, I think he's positioned himself to get the max contract. And I hope the Browns pay up, Jay. I really do. You kind of groaned there. You don't like that.
No, look, he's doing what it takes to win. I don't think you can hold these last 3 weeks against him because look at the weather.
No.
Look last week how look last week how Deshaun Watson looked, and then look what he did to New England today. And he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league minus last week. So yeah, you can't put these three. And what have we wanted? All we've wanted in Cleveland is a quarterback that will do what it takes to win. And right now, is Baker Mayfield is showing that he's a team player and he will do what it takes to win, because that's the most important thing. I think ultimately he probably does get the contract. I think the Browns are probably still thinking about it, but yeah, Baker, you got to give him credit. He is doing what it takes to win. He's not complaining about it. He's just playing ball.
Cameron's ready to offer him the contract with all of his rap quotes and post game.
It's hilarious.
I'm a big
It's funny.
fan.
He
So
loves
good.
sneaking those in. It's hilarious.
So
Yep.
good.
My favorite part is that when I tweet them, people don't always know that they're from rap lyrics, and they just think that he's spewing this random. And it's so fun. It's so fun to watch people's minds try to like wrap around what Baker's talking about. No, that's Snoop
I
Dogg.
saw on Twitter, Brown's Twitter today, they thought it was like a Jimmy Fallon all season long bit. I'm like, oh geez.
It's
No.
pretty freaking hilarious though.
No. Let's give us some game balls. Jeremy, you're up first. Who's one of your game balls for the Browns Week 11?
I'm gonna go with my guy Taki. I think, love to see him making a play. He was all around the ball today, but love to see him, the play presented itself. Yes, Denzel Ward caused a hit, but he still had to make the catch and score the touchdown. I'm going to give my game ball today to my guy, Taki.
Taki with the game ball from Jeremy and Akron, who's not been shy of criticism for Taki. So
no, that's why, yep.
Good.
Hey, the guy made a play. Give him the game ball.
Cameron, what you got? Game ball.
So I kind of want to give it to Denzel Ward, obviously, because he's been great, but
Just a beast.
but I think that I'm going to pass on that because it's very obvious, and I don't want to go for obvious. So I'm going to give my game ball to the Browns front four for stepping up when Myles Garrett was out, especially Olivier Vernon. If there's levels to this game ball, he gets the biggest one. He gets the highest praise. I mean, that performance today, there's been a lot of doubt about Olivier Vernon. He's been dealing with injuries. He hasn't really stepped up. And then, there was the issue of, are we going to sign him? His contract wasn't exactly what the Browns needed. He restructured it. It worked out. But there were a lot of players who wanted to replace him because he hasn't been very explosive on the Browns. And so today showed the kind of player he can be. This is the way that you want this team to go moving forward. And so I think that set the precedent for him. Proved to Browns fans that he's capable of doing this, and he's able to fill in for Myles Garrett, but he's also able to just be a really solid player. But overall, the Browns defense did great. Olivier Vernon gets the biggest one, but that front four, they did good. They held their own with Myles Garrett out.
You can't get wrong with Taki. You got to make a play. You can't get wrong with Olivier Vernon, who definitely made plays. I could give it to Denzel Ward, who did his part, and I could give it to Baker Mayfield. I'd love to give it to Baker. I'm not going to give it to Baker. Chubb, could obviously get the game ball, as he probably could every game. I'm going to give my game ball to special teams coach Mike Prefer for a couple reasons. One, it's raining, and we, aside from the blocked field goal, didn't have any botched punts, any dropped punts, and any dropped punt returns. We actually had a punt. A coffin couldn't be a more perfect coffin corner punt that led us to the safety, which I think helped seal the game. And it was kind of like a defining moment, even though we didn't do anything off the safety possession following that. I think that was kind of the Browns are that's it. That's the ball game. He made field goals, made our extra points. Cody Parquet, who continues to be an excellent signing for the Browns. And I think just with the elements, I think he just gets my game balls. Is that fair, guys?
Yep. I think so.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got Taki, Olivier Vernon, and Mike Prefer. Good job by you all. This is this last segment is one of my favorite segments of the show the last couple of weeks. The blueprint for the playoffs, because we're not talking about the draft. We're not talking about who we should draft, but it's the playoffs. What is this going to look like? Let me run through kind of what we got going on here. The Colts today beat the Packers. They are now 7-3. The Titans beat the Ravens. The Titans are now 7-3. The Ravens dropped to 6-4 in third place in the AFC North. And we were talking before the show, guys. I tried to warn people that Lamar Jackson might be slightly overrated. He's not the second coming, that he might have peaked and overreached a little bit last year. I don't know. I think this is who they are. And unless it's a perfect game for Lamar Jackson where he can really accentuate what he does, I think they're in trouble. I don't know. The Ravens are 6-4. Jeremy was saying they got the Steelers on Thursday night and then us on Monday.
Not that Monday, but 2 weeks after that.
I mean, they to be 7-6 or 6-7 would just be chef's kiss. It would just be amazing. So they are third place behind us in the wild card. The Raiders just lost to the Chiefs. They fall to 6-4. The Dolphins lost to the Broncos. They're 6-4. So all of a sudden, there are 3 teams at 7-3 looking pretty. Cameron, what are the chances the Browns make the play? You got a 55% last week. I'm going to throw that at your face because that's pretty low.
I'm just going off of the statistics. It wasn't my opinion. It was just what the numbers went. But this week we'll go off my opinion. I'm going to go ahead. This is my bold take, and it's not that bold, so don't get excited. I'm going to say it goes from 55% now with my emotions involved. We're up to 76.5%.
76.5%. Hey, I'll take it. Jay, where you at? You're at 60% last week, man. Where are you at now?
I think with the win today, and like I'm a believer that if, like I've said many times to you and on the show, that if we win, it'll all take care of itself. We just need to win. But with some of the stuff that did happen today, and with us winning this game, I am going to go to 74.9%. 74.9% that the Browns make the playoffs.
I thought
so freaking weird.
For sure you would be higher.
74.9%.
Let's go down and take care of business in Jacksonville and see where we end up.
Hey, last week I was at 100%, and guess where I'm at this week? 100%, baby. Let's go. We're making the playoffs 7-3. We got to find 10 wins. I want to go over the schedule because it just, oh my gosh, we have a favorable, to put it mildly, schedule. If you haven't caught wind, we're traveling to 1-9 Jacksonville next week to play the Jaguars at 1 p.m. on Sunday. We should win that game. That's a win. We then travel to Tennessee to play a really good Titans team. I don't know. I love Mike Vrabel. I think the Titans are really, really good. I think we're kind of built very similarly in some weird way. We don't have an AJ Brown, but I think I just think it's going to be a close game, and maybe Titans with their home field advantage. That's going to be a toss-up. We then play the Ravens in Cleveland. I think that's a win. We then play the Giants in New York. I think that's a win. We then play the Jets in New York. I think that's a win. And then we host the Steelers at home, and I think that is a win. Guys,
there's a real possibility. The Steelers right now have a 3-game lead in the division.
Why would they? Yeah.
And there's a real possibility that there's not going to be a lot of starters playing that game for the Steelers. So if that game matters for us in any way, you're right. That's it could be another W. So I think you're right. I think there's 2 guaranteed wins. I think the Giants are probably a little better than the Jaguars and the Jets. So that'll be a little bit tougher. So I think you got at least 2 wins out of there. And I think the Ravens at home is another one to circle. I think the Browns are going to end up winning that game. So right there's your 10, and they probably do beat the Giants. And if they do, then you're at 11 wins. So
we're looking for,
you're in the playoffs.
Cameron, is 10 wins? Is 10 the magic number?
I think so. There's some games in there, like I said, pretty hesitant about just giving them away. I think the Titans game is going to be competitive. Ravens it's going to be tough. I can see them winning that game, but I can also see them losing that game. And like Jeremy said, that Steelers game, if it was a normal circumstance, I think it would be a really, really tough game. But I think last game of the year with the Steelers record so far, they'll probably be locked in if things go this way. So it might just be us against their bench, which is a good thing for us if we're in that place. So that one I can see being a win too, if that's the circumstances. Otherwise, I think it's going to be a tough game. But the Jets and the Jaguars, that's definitely must-win games. Giants, there's no reason you lose. It's the Giants. But like you said, I know, like Chase, you were right. I can see that being a little bit too close for comfort than it should be. But yeah, 10 wins, maybe. Probably happening.
I want to lay out a scenario for you guys, just because I can see this happening, and I think it would just be a lot of fun. say the Steelers are 13-2. They got the home field advantage locked up. Like they don't need to play. They come into Cleveland. They maybe play Ben a couple series just to get it going. But maybe Ben's like, nah, I don't want to come out. Give me one more series. All right. So maybe they go down. He throws a ball. And right before they score, they fumble. And we go down and score. And he's like, oh, he's all pissed. He's like, oh, I hate this team. And he's like, you almost playing one more series. And all of a sudden, it gets into this old school, like Browns Steelers game that doesn't matter to the Steelers, but they want to win. And the Browns are like clawing and fighting and hitting, trying to win. Like, I think that would just be so cool. And I don't know. I still think the Steelers hate the Browns. I really do.
Oh, they do.
And I don't know. Jeremy, could that happen?
No. No, because that's exactly what the Steelers don't want to do, is get anyone injured, put them in a position to get injured. No, anything could happen, right? And maybe the game will still mean something. But yeah, that would be fun. And the Browns to win and clinch a playoff spot by beating the Steelers in a game that does matter would be a lot of fun. But I just think the Steelers are going to have it wrapped up, and I don't think they're going to take any chances, especially with Ben's injury history. I think they'd love to give Ben, a little bit of extra time to get warmed up. But hey, who knows? It's 2020. Anything could happen.
Yeah, Jeremy, you're probably right. They probably wouldn't allow them to go back to the series. But I don't know. I feel like there's this like tinge of, we got to put you in your place. And
yeah, there is some of that. There is some of little brother.
Arrogant. I think Tomlin's
arrogant.
Oh, yeah.
I
think all of them just like think there's like so much better. And right. I don't know.
I think you're right about that, though. I think there is a air of arrogance in that group, and I think that they definitely think that the Browns don't belong on the field with them. Will that lead them, though, to change their game plan for that Sunday? I don't know about that.
Cameron, what do you think?
I do. They definitely. I think this, as much as the Browns hate the Steelers, that rivalry, I think it's a little bit more passionate the other way around. I think the Steelers hate the Browns a little bit more than the Browns hate the Steelers. The Browns hate the Steelers. The Browns hate the Bengals. The Browns hate the Ravens. But the Steelers hate the Browns a ton. So, I mean, I don't, your movie script was nice. I'm like, I want to see that. Someone make that. That's great. I don't think that happens, but I do think that even if they have, their bench guys going, I still think it's a little bit more competitive than people might like to see. Because even though they're not, they're starters.
If they play their bench, it's a lose-lose for the Browns. Because if we beat them, like, oh, well, we didn't play our starters, you guys can't beat them. And if we lose, you're like, oh, you guys suck so bad, you lost to the people that didn't even play. So it's a lose-lose for us.
And I don't think it would be a wholesale set. I think they would probably play a lot of that front seven. I just can't see them, if it's locked up, I can't see them putting Ben out there. Especially because he's been banged up with the knees and everything. So, but they would still play. Look, a lot of that front seven, which is really good this year on defense, would still play.
Yeah. Do you think the Steelers fans are talking about their Week 17 matchup against us, like we're talking about already?
No, that's the last thing on their minds. Guaranteed.
You think that, but there are a lot of Steelers fans that are very preoccupied right now about how the Browns are not good and how the Browns are 7-3, and they're undefeated. It's weird. It's very weird. Like, if my team was undefeated, I think I'd be talking about my team being undefeated rather than the other team. It's okay to mention, but they're hung up. I love it. I love it because the rivalry is back. It's great to see it. Just good old fashioned football hatred.
I want to believe the rivalry's back, but
we got to win.
They kicked our ass, and it wasn't even close. And
that's the process. That's how you ignite the spark. You get the talent to do it, and then you start competing.
The spark was ignited last year, and it sucks that we couldn't follow up with a strong game this year. Maybe we kicked their butts the Week 17. I don't know. We'll see. Guys, I love these recap episodes after a win. Like, we have recorded so many loss recaps. They're not fun. Like, I've smiled this whole episode. I'm just like, another Victory Monday coming down tomorrow. This has been fantastic. Just want to take a few moments just to thank you for downloading and listening and subscribing and following and reviewing and being along with us for this journey. Guys, this is a ton of fun, especially those who've been with us for 3 seasons, started with the 0-16 season. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. And we can't wait to record a playoff podcast. Are you kidding me? Let's go. So thank you for following along. And we're so glad you are with us. Thank you to Cameron and Jeremy for recording tonight. Appreciate you guys a lot. You guys put a lot of good hard work in. Thank you so much for that. I just want to move to some final thoughts. Cameron, what you got?
Browns are 7-3. Just soak it up. Enjoy it. Let that sink in. The Browns are 7-3. There are no other words to describe. It doesn't matter how they won, how they got to 7-3. The fact is that they have won 7 games this season, and there's plenty more games for them to win. It's looking good. I cannot wait for some playoffs.
Let's go. Jeremy, what you got, brother?
Like she said, the Browns are 7-3, and I have this sneaking suspicion Jacksonville, which is allowing about 30,000 fans for the games, is going to look a lot like a home game in the stands. Mm-hmm. I hear rumors of Browns fans that are jumping on planes and flying down to Jacksonville next weekend
because of the large crowd, and they can't.
The fact that they can't, right? The fact that you can have more fans there, the fact that there's a lot of tickets for sale, I just checked, and the fact that it's a holiday weekend, and the fact that Browns fans are crazy. Don't be surprised if you see a lot of orange and brown in that crowd Sunday in Jacksonville. 78 and sunny is what the temperature is calling for. Even Nick Chubb referenced it in his post-game press conference that he can't wait to get down and play in some more, and then it's going to be 78 and sunny. So don't be surprised if you see a bunch of crazy Browns fans in Florida this week. And this, the road to the playoffs is here, and we're going to ride it all the way in, baby.
Listen, if you go to the game, be safe, be smart, wear a mask.
Oh, yeah.
Be like Nick Chubb. Don't endanger anyone that you love or your friends because you went down the border where they allow anything. Like, just be smart, wear a mask, and don't bring anything.
Chase, if I go to the game, I will wear a mask. I've been wearing a mask for 8.5 months straight, buddy. Yeah. I will have a mask on.
If Jeremy wears a mask, you guys have to wear a mask.
I wear the mask, baby. I have no problem wearing a mask.
We'll come at you soon with a Jaguars preview. Until then, we'll catch you guys later.